at the heart of our survival. This morning, based on the advice and the recommendations of the key committees, EPA and the Minerals Commission, Forestry Commission, Water Resource Commission, we are taking the following steps. Now, one, we are going full steam ahead to revoke all licenses based on the findings. All licenses, small-scale licenses that were issued from December 7th is hereby revoked. Whether you have EPA license, because the finding is very clear. Those licenses from December 7th were rushed. The due processes were not followed. Right things were not done. People will have the opportunity to appeal to make sure the right things are done. But our whole focus is to make sure that the right things are done. Secondly, the existing community mining schemes are in name only, as I've said, although the basis for which they were funded were to benefit the community. However, the findings indicate that this is not the case. They have not been, they are to be disbanded and replaced with small-scale mining cooperatives that actually serve and benefit the communities. These cooperatives will be formed after due diligence with the communities involved.
My colleague Collins Frimpong just returned from that news conference and joins me in the studio for more on this. First, tell us how many mining licenses have been revoked after December 7.
During the press briefing, the minister did not put the number to it, but our sources say that it runs into the hundreds. But our own independent checks from the mining repositories shows that a total of 328 mining-related licenses commenced operations in 2025. And also of this number, 318 were granted between January 1 and January 6, just before President John Dramani Mahama was sworn into office.
Okay, so we heard the minister say that this decision was based on the findings of the committee. What exactly are the details of that committee's findings?
One of the findings from the committee is that they've realized that importation of excavators is the third most import item into the country, which contributes about 6.2 billion Ghana cedis. So in a way to regulate mining, we need to regulate importation of excavators. So they are calling on the government, or they are urging the ministry to regulate mining excavator importation, and which the ministry is also interested in that. And another thing that the government or the committee also recommended is that government should disband all community groups, mining community groups, and the government is also interested in that, and they are going to make sure that they also constitute their own. They also constitute a new mining committee groups to ensure that communities and also folks in the community with all chiefs all come together to ensure that they are able to clamp down on that. So these are some of the things that the committee also recommended.
Okay, but did they tell us exactly when they will stop this importation of the excavators?
So the importation is a recommendation that they have made to the government.
But they didn't add a timeline
yes.
to it.
So now the government has instituted another committee which includes the Minerals Commission, Attorney General's Office, and Forestry Commission. It will be chaired by the Deputy Minister of Lands to review, audit, verify, and validate all existing small-scale mining licenses.
So let's hear more on the review.
Committee is to audit all licenses to ensure that they are properly acquired, that due process was followed, that they meet all conditions of continuous validity with respect to the environmental, with respect to how they have followed the rules on environmental, and then how they have dealt with the issues of our water bodies, our forest reserves, and land preservation. All those standards are going to be the guide in which these licenses will be sustained. They are also to ensure permitting fees and all those requirements by all the agencies, EPA, Minerals Commission, Water Resource Commission, that all those processes required have been met. The report clearly indicates that people have just acquired licenses. One person will have 20 licenses, 30 licenses, and have all these places sitting there. They are not even doing annual reviews of these licenses, and they are continual violation of even license holders who have legal licenses.
So we understand the minister shared some other measures. Tell us more.
In addition to the establishment of this committee, government is also going to set a new classification of small-scale mining licenses to include medium-scale license. Already we have small-scale and large-scale, but he believes that, or the committee believes that, there are groups who are working beyond the small-scale mining, but they are also working below the large-scale mining. So there is a need to also classify them. So they are going to do that, and the committee has 2 months to finish their work. Any small-scale mining who do not submit their licenses for a review and validation, they will lose it after 2 months.
After 2 months. We heard their colleagues. Frimpong, thank you so much. Earlier we heard the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa. Let's move on. And anti-illegal mining groups are fiercely opposing government's plan to amend a section of the Environmental Protection Regulation LI 2462, which restricts mining in forest reserves. They insist that partial amendments are not enough and are demanding a full revocation of the law to ensure stronger environmental protection. The Environment, Science and Technology Minister was unable to lay the instrument for revocation yesterday after the first Deputy Speaker intervened, calling for a 3-day pre-laying conference. Now, while the details of the proposed amendment remain unclear, Majority Leader Amahama Yariga has clarified only the section granting mining licenses in forest areas will be modified.
This is a one-clause instrument, just one clause. Amendment to the regulations, which simply withdraws the powers of the president. We don't think that any stakeholder engagements will change anything. It is a commitment that this government made to Ghanaians, this president made to Ghanaians, that this power granted to presidents to allow mining in forest reserves, I don't want it. It should be taken away. And he has instructed his minister to come and lay the instrument that takes away the power. So, Speaker, there's nothing to discuss about this. A power granted, somebody says, I don't want to exercise the power. Take it away so that I'm not tempted to exercise it. Why do you want to tempt him? Why do you want to keep the law in place?
Well, the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Dr. Kenneth Ashby, says they are against the entire environmental protection regulations that was passed in November 2022, insisting it must be repealed.
And it is important that we know, whether it's going to be a revocation of the LI completely or it is only just a small amendment and not about the other mischief that is within the law. So that is important. And I think that if, it would be great for government to share a copy of this document that they are going to lay, so that in the pre-laying stage, all of us, would then have an opportunity to make an input into it. Because so far as we are concerned, that law we thought was going to go completely.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Programs Director with Arocha Ghana, Darrell Busu, says government must show commitment to the fight against illegal mining and repeal the entire law.
The government needs to see that, look, the minority currently will put in impediments and their way to getting this LI repealed. I hear them saying that, yes, they are committed to support it, but their body language also show that they really want to see this. So I want to see the government make sure that they go through the due diligence, prepare themselves adequately before they go before Parliament again. If we're only going there with an amendment to just take out the clause where the president must grant the powers for somebody to have access to the forest, that is not the mischief we are seeking to cure.
Okay.
Well, there's also a view coming from the ongoing Constitutional Review Committee stakeholder meeting. Chairman of the Ghana Extractives Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Mantel, says the country must hold MPs responsible for the level of destruction caused by illegal mining.
And to the extent that Parliament represents the people, then of course that gives the people a certain say in the allocation of licenses. If we'll assume that members of Parliament would have consulted with their constituencies before deciding whether to approve a certain contract or not. And so For me, I think there wouldn't have been a problem. But the reason it's become a problem is this unending battle against illegal mining and our inability to win this battle. And the recognition that the chieftaincy can help us, the institution can help us. Let me cite an example where Otumfuo, working with the NIB, investigated some chiefs. And based on the evidence adduced, distooled 3 chiefs. That in itself tells us that, look, we can work with the chiefs and be able to stem the illegal mine because they are revered in the areas where they preside over.
You heard there Dr. Steve Mantel. The Minister for State for Climate Change and Sustainability, Isifu Seidu, has announced government will soon introduce a National Sustainability Index to assess and rank organizations, companies and government agencies on their environmental performance. He says the ranking system will not only encourage accountability, but also track Ghana's collective progress towards sustainability. There's more in this report.
Already, when it comes to the sector, funding is always a challenge. Right. Funding sanitation activities is a challenge. And then we come up with a novel idea, or we use an act, and then the act promotes a situation where we can get levies to support the sector. When the sanitation and pollution levy was introduced, as a result of that, we've been able to put up recycling facilities. The final disposal site is also managed by the fund. So now that the fund is being diverted to go.
Let's go to the OT region now, where some farmers are thriving despite unpredictable weather. They practice regenerative farming, a method that helps restore the land instead of depleting it. This approach rebuilds soil health, protects biodiversity, and prevents erosion. It also improves water absorption, helping to safeguard water resources. Regenerative farming is seen as a key strategy for tackling climate change. So joining us is Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin, visited one of these farms for Climate Focus in our reports.
Clement, who pioneered the regenerative agricultural method in he believes it helps smallholder farmers to increase yield while protecting the environment.
The space is called Dream Village, and Dream Village is just basically the hub to empower young people and also the community to become more resilient.
It was a dream in 2007 that became a reality 10 years later, and Clement has now produced a variety of crops and plants on his 100 acres of farmland to supply food while also regreening the earth.
I had once upon a time grew up on the street. Other people helped me to become who I am, and I realized that I also had to find a way to give back to society.
The structures are eco-friendly.
The entire concept of this place is to create systems that helps us to live together with nature.
He says the numbers are encouraging, as do the testimonies of other farmers who benefited from the program, such as the Moringa Mothers Cooperative. Mariama Kwame, one of the project beneficiaries, says she is able to prepare diverse meals and meet other basic needs.
We grow bananas, beans, and maize, among other crops whose names I don't know in English. We can now make a variety of meals.
The intervention excites Ekuya Nimkabu.
The intervention is beneficial to us.
Climate Focus is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with Youth Bridge Foundation, Bridging Gaps for Positive Youth Development, and the Climate Development Knowledge Network.
That was Climate Focus. Now, earlier we brought you a sound that was supposed to have been for the Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability, Isifu Seidu. We're going to bring you that report where he says the ranking system for Ghana's government agencies on their environmental performance will not only encourage accountability, but also track Ghana's collective progress towards sustainability. This is the report.
The dialogue, organized by Climate Voice Global and supported by the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, and the Embassy of Denmark, under the theme Bridging Community Awareness, Policy Governance, and Political Action, brought together over 120 participants, including government officials, civil society organizations, youth, women's group, researchers, and climate activists, and sought to, among other things, strengthen climate reporting and governance in Ghana. Speaking on behalf of the project partners, environmentalist Daryl Bosu stressed the urgent need for political action to drive effective climate solutions in response to Ghana's worsening environmental challenges.
We know about how communities in the Volta region along the coast are already experiencing the floods coming in from the increasing sea level. So these are the felt realities of communities on the ground. There is going to be discussions at the various district assemblies to try and bring some solutions to these challenges. At the national level, discussions are really ongoing at the top. And as has been said, I want to also add my voice to the fact that it is good to see that now we have a minister for climate and sustainability. It is very, very, very important because it also tells us that we are really prioritizing climate change and solutions.
Country manager of the Clean Air Fund, Desmond Appiah, noted that 80% of Accra operates informally, yet most policies and regulations are designed for the formal sector, and cautioned that excluding informal populations from climate interventions would undermine their success. The Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability, Isifu Seidu, announced that government will soon introduce a national sustainability index to assess and rank organizations, companies, and government agencies on their environmental performance.
We will launch initiatives to train youth in areas such as renewable energy, waste management, and ecotourism, ensuring that our economic development is inclusive and equitable. I am also excited to announce that my office has initiated discussions with stakeholders to introduce a sustainability index in Ghana. The ranking system will profile organizations, companies, and government agencies based on a sustainability scorecard, assessing their performance in areas such as energy efficiency.
You're still listening to the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. On Love, we are on 99.5 FM and on myjoyonline.com. We'll take a short break here. When we come back, we'll take you to a struggling hospital in Tafu in the Ashanti region where severe congestion is forcing critically ill patients to now fight for space before they can fight for their lives.
Tafu Government Hospital is very old. But infrastructurally, if you ask me personally, I will not call it a hospital. Sometimes you need to turn some of the people away because you can't admit all of them.
Where did I? Now I don't know many just are. Obiang, what you call her? And to want to say petrol super energizing drinks for motion. Hey boy.
Petrosol are celebrating their 10 years in grand style. They're giving back to their loyal customers. Hope you have registered at their online portal. Don't say I didn't tell you, oh.
Each month, customers will stand a chance of winning items like tricycles, motorcycles, television sets, refrigerators, phones, fuel vouchers, and many more. But the best part is that at the end of the promo, we will be giving out a grand prize of 2 Suzuki Espresso cars to lucky winners who stay with us all through the promo period. All you need to join is to visit any of our over 100 stations across the country to get registered, or go to www.petrosolcrm.com to register online.
Petrosol, energizing dreams.
When I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth with Kale Charcoal toothpaste. This gives me confidence all day.
Anytime you meet Amma, don't be surprised I smile showing my beautiful white teeth because I don't have cavity thanks to Kale Charcoal toothpaste for its natural charcoal properties. In fact, we are like twins. I can't go without my Kale Charcoal toothpaste.
That be why
I dey use Care Charcoal toothpaste morning and night when I dey go bed safe. It dey make my teeth white when it comot every scent from my mouth inside. My confidence level dey go up, so I dey show my 32 teeth all.
Introducing the Kale Charcoal Toothpaste, formulated with activated bamboo charcoal powder, ensures whiter teeth and removes bad breath. The strong natural property of the activated bamboo charcoal removes bacteria, absorbs surface stains on our teeth caused by coffee, wines, and tobacco. Welcome, Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste, Sankofa Yenchi.
Kale, happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Hey, DNA Ramsa. And you stay soft concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. You're sending this say you hear my new units now. No, be a baby, someone some demoni in us say. DNA Ramsa. Acquire your Symbiar Association Ontario. You stay soft and units now. Nani boss to tap from bra. A fabric softener. And you near say, sir. Choose to stay soft. No, who's so say, no. FDIG a garden cratu yatu.
Yeah, welcome back. Mubarak has joined us with sports.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Now, sports marketing consultant Magnus Rex-Dankwa has urged the sports ministry to enforce stricter regulations on national federations operating in limited areas. Speaking at the Joy Sports National Dialogue, Rex-Dankwa emphasized the need for wider reach across the country to ensure true national representation.
No association should be national unless you can operate from a certain number of regions. Most times people are just in Accra and it's a national association. No. If you want to be a national association, you should have done the work for a certain number of regions. You can put a cap on it, not 50 way, maybe 45 or 40, so that makes it easy for people to work to be a national federation or association. And that we want to believe that within the next available time that you work on all these semantics, we can have you.
Sports marketing consultant Magnus Rex-Dankwa. Back to you, Hannah.
Thank you. The Medina Magistrate Court has remanded Daniel Owusu-Kranting, a key suspect in the assassination of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale, into custody on a provisional murder charge. This is Kranting's first court appearance since his arrest, following 3 years of investigations into the case. For all the details, let's go live to the Medina Court, where our correspondent Latif Idrisu was present for the proceedings. Latif, if you can hear me, share with us all that transpired in court today.
Yeah, Hannah, so the suspect in this very protracted case appeared in court today, very calm and collected, together with his lawyers. When they entered the courtroom, proceedings quickly started, and the prosecution read out why they think that Mr. Kranting is a suspect in the killing or the assassination of Ahmed Swale. Now, reading out the charges, that is the preliminary charges that is leveled against him, the prosecution said Daniel Kranting has admitted to knowing the deceased Ahmed Swale. He also knows the former member of parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ejapong, and that in fact he admitted to prosecution that he has been visiting the former member of parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ejapong, and while the deceased was alive, he used to visit him as a colleague, investigative journalist. We are told in court today that the suspect also admitted taking photos of the deceased, Ahmed Swale, but then he denied selling the photographs to the former member of parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ejapong. Prosecution told the court that call records traced the suspect at the residence or the neighborhood of Ahmed Swale on the night of that assassination. And then immediately after the assassination, around 11:15 p.m., the suspect, according to prosecution, fled the scene to his Amasaman residence. The call records also shows that the suspect immediately after the assassination made arrangements and then fled the country when he realized that investigations were narrowing down on him. So he fled the country, and today They are telling the court that they followed him, they've been on his tail, surveillance has been on him, and so immediately he returned to Ghana. He was picked up on the 15th of this month, and that is why today he is arraigned at the Medina Magistrate Court. Initial murder charge has been slapped against him.
Thank you very much, Latif Idris, who will bring us more in subsequent bulletins. Now, imagine being rushed to the hospital in desperate need of care, only to be told no bed, no treatment. That's the grim reality at the Tafu Government Hospital. My colleague Nana Boachi Yadom was there and reports.
The corridors of the Tafu Government Hospital in the old Tafu municipality are narrow and crowded, with patients, relatives and medical staff jostling for space. As you step into the hospital, the sounds of desperation fill the air. Patients struggling for space, some on makeshift beds, others forced to sit or stand, waiting for attention from the overworked medical staff.
It's really sad because when we come and the place is choked like that, we find it so difficult to work.
The hospital's congestion is not a new phenomenon, but it has worsened in recent years. Medical Superintendent Dr. Eric Kwame bemoans the infrastructural deficit of the hospital.
Tafu Government Hospital is very good, but infrastructurally, if you ask me personally, I will not call it a hospital. We need to do something about it.
According to Dr. Kwame the congestion of the hospital forces them not to admit some patients.
Sometimes you need to turn some of the people away because you can't admit all of them. Then you have a huge number also attending the ANC clinic. And it's done in a corridor where you have used TNJ to demarcate consulting room for the midwives.
Before we go, Jackie is here. MNJ.
Yes, the only J here today.
In the MNJ. What's up in the trends?
Well, Anas is trending on social media after the verdict yesterday. That was yesterday or a few hours ago. A lot of people on social media have been expressing their thoughts on it, and most people, especially when a picture of him surfaced online and people are saying it's him.
Jackie, are you sure that's him?
I don't know. I think we should ask our editor, Fred Smith. Well, but then a lot of people saying that. So, Nkrumah, one comment here, Nkrumah says that it's such a shame that we can't get justice in our own country. We have to go abroad to ensure justice. People asking questions why it had to go there when it happened in Ghana. Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us for the midday news across the country. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Dr. Mensa Otabil up next with Living Word.